everyone, and welcome to Tuesday's lesson. So yesterday we read the book Pip and Posy, and we thought about which toys they could play with instead of the ones used in the book, because we were innovating the story. In this lesson, we are going to write a part of the story, and you can choose which part of the story you would like to write. In this lesson, you will need your piece of paper from yesterday with your illustration, or you could use your red homework book. You will need something to write with, and you will need to be using your thinking brains. Plus, it will be really helpful if you have your phonics mapped. First of all, we are going to tell the story all together, and then we are going to write parts of the story. So if you remember yesterday, I decided that Pip was going to play with a massive balloon. Not a massive balloon, a massive, what was it? A football, that's right. He was going to play with a massive football, and he was really proud to have his lovely football with him. He was so proud he decided that he wanted to show his friend Posy. Then we move on to the build up to the problem, and we can see that Pip and Posy were taking their football for a walk, but instead of it blowing away like the red balloon, the football rolled away. Then we get to the problem of the story. When in my story, can you remember what happens to the football? That's right, it burst. It burst on a rock. And everybody said, oh dear. Can you say, oh dear? Oh dear. Then we move on to where the problem is fixed, because Pip was feeling really miserable and glum. Here he is here. But then Posy had a fantastic idea. And can you remember what Posy in my story decided to take out of her bag? That's right, 2 pairs of roller skates. And then we have the 5th part of the story, the ending, where everybody is shouting hooray and they are playing in the park. Can you just look at my story map and just have a think about how you decided to change the toys? You can look at your illustrations too to help you. So you can pause the video here, and I would like you to tell your adult your story. Really good storytelling, everybody. Now we're moving on to the part of the lesson, the really exciting part where we are going to be writing the story. So first of all, I would like to write the beginning of the story. So we know that Pip had a football, but we want to think of really interesting words to describe the football. We don't want to say he had a big football. I prefer much more exciting words such as giant, gigantic, enormous, huge. So let's think of a sentence which uses one of those exciting words. And also I want to think of an interesting story opener. Maybe I could say, once upon a time, Pip had a large football. I could say on one sunny day, because it's a really sunny day in the park, on one sunny day, Pip had a gigantic football. I know, I think I'm going to say one day. One day, Pip had a massive football. Can we all say that sentence together? One day, Pip had a massive football. Can we say it in a loud voice? One day, Pip had a massive football. Can we whisper it? One day, Pip had a massive football. Brilliant. Now, can we count the words? One day, Pip had a massive football. Oh, there are 7 words in my sentence. Before we write our sentence, we need to make sure we do a strategy check. So we need to make sure we remember our capital letter, our finger spaces, our full stop, and we have to make sure that we read our sentence back. So the key word in our sentence is one. So one is spelled O-N-E, one. So I'm going to model how to write that sentence. One day, Pip had a massive football. What was the first word in my sentence? One. And can you remember we said one is spelled O-N-E, one. Right, because it's the first word in my sentence, I need to make sure I remember my capital letter. And this is what a capital O looks like. Sort of like just a bit bigger than a lowercase o. O-N, down Nobby's neck, over Nobby's neck, E, crack open the egg. One day. So that's the next word in my sentence. It is day. And I'm going to use my phonics for this. Day. D-A. There are two sounds in day. What's the first sound? D. And we go round the dinosaur's bottom, give him a long neck and a tail. And what's the next sound you can hear in day? D-A. A. And if I look at my phonics mat, I can see that the A and the I spell the word, make the sound A. A, I, a and a I. One day, Pip, let's chop up Pip, Pip, P, Ip, Pip. Because Pip is a name, that also needs to begin with a capital letter. And a capital P, a capital P looks like this. Go down the pirate's hair and around his face. And it's above the line here. Pip, P, I, P. And because it's the lowercase letter, the P sound goes down below the line. And we go around his face. One day, Pip, can you remember the next word in our sentence? One day, Pip had. Now let's use our phonics to chop this up. Had. H-a-d. Had. There's no room on this line, so I'm going to move on to the next line. Had. Round the apple and give it a leaf. D. Round the dinosaur's bottom, give him a long neck and a tail. One day, Pip had. Can you remember the next word? One day, Pip had a. So I use my finger space again and I write a. One day, Pip had a big. No, not big. We were thinking of more interesting words. We decided on the word massive. Now let's use our phonics to chop up massive. Massive. M-a-s-i-v. Massive. What's the first sound in massive? So I go down Maisie Mountain, over and over. And I'm going to tell you, we use a digraph, we use the two letter S's here. M-a-s-i. Down the wing, up the wing. Massive. So we do know that massive has a on the end, a letter E on the end, but it's okay for children to use their phonics. One day, Pip had a massive football. Football is a really huge word. So first of all, I'm going to chop up the first part of the word foot. Foot. What's the first sound in foot? We go down the flower and across the petals. It's the short sound. So we use two letter O's. Down the town, across the tower. Foot, ball, ball. What's the first sound in ball? Ball. Bring your bat and bring your ball. And for this sound, the B sound, we go down the laces and around the foot. All. So all is one of our tricky words, and it makes the same sounds. All, and that's a L, L. One, let's read it back. One day, Pip had a massive football. Can you remember on our strategy check what goes at the end? A full stop. So let's double check again. Help me read it. One day, Pip had a massive football. Full stop. Excellent. Now we are ready to write the next part of our story. We are going to write the middle part of our story. You can then choose which part of the middle which you would like to write about. You might want to write about the build-up, where, for example, in my story, the football rolls away. You might want to write about the problem. So in my story, the football pops. Or you might want to write about when Posy solves a problem by bringing out another toy because Pip was feeling really miserable. I am going to write about when the football bursts or it pops. So now I've decided which part of the story I'm going to write about. I need to think of my sentence. So I know a really good sentence starter could be all of a sudden, the football popped. Next, the football broke. Then the football burst. Then the football burst. I like that sentence. Can you help me say that sentence? Then the football burst. Can we say it in a loud voice? Then the football burst. And then can we whisper it? Then the football burst. Now, can we say it in a princess voice? Then the football burst. Really good. Saying our sentences, everybody. So in that sentence, we have the high frequency word then, and that is on our one of our phonics mats. So then. And then is spelled T-H-E-M. So now I'm going to show you how I'm going to write this, and I want you to join in. Then the balloon burst. Then it's a high frequency word, but we can also use our phonics for this. What sound makes a V sound? It's a T and a H. A T and a H are the V sound. So our first letter is a capital T, across and down, then, and then we have the H, then V, E. Crack open the egg, V, E, down Nobby's neck and over Nobby's neck. Then the is one of our tricky words, the, and we know how to write the, don't we? T-H-E. There's no room here, so I'm going to move on to my next line. The T-H-E. Then can you remember what the next word in my sentence is? Then the football. So make sure you're writing it as well, football. So remember, it was such a long word that I decided to chop it up in two parts, foot. So I've got my finger space. Oh, so two-letter O's, make the sound. Down the tower and across the tower. Foot, ball, ball, all, ball, down the laces and around the foot, and then all, which is also a tricky word, but it makes the same sound, all. A-L-L. Football, then the football. What happened? It burst. Can we all say the word burst? Burst. Now let's chop it up. Burst. Burst. How many sounds are in the word burst? 4 sounds. What's the first sound? B. So there's no room at the end of my line, so I'm moving down onto the next line. B. Down the laces and around the foot. B. Sound. So a U and an R make the sound. Let me show you a bit closer on my phonics mat. The sound here. A U and an R. U, R. So to write this sound, you go down the umbrella, up the umbrella, and give it a flick. And down for the sound, we go down the robot's body and over his arm. Slither down the snake. And what's the next sound in burst? Burst. Down the tower and across the tower. And what goes at the end of my sentence? That's right, a full stop. And then what do we always do? We read our sentence back. Then the football burst. Well done, everybody.